millions. But with the Globe reportedly losing $85 million a year, nervous employees are fearful that the numbers still don't add up. The ink on the tentative agreement keeping the Boston Globe alive is barely dry, but workers in the newsroom are already worried about what's coming next.
Most people think this won't be the end of it and that there is more to come, probably sooner rather than later.
The Newspaper Guild, which represents reporters like Jenna Russell, has agreed to a deal with the New York Times company that includes significant wage cuts, a furlough, and changes to lifetime job guarantees. But union officials are now reportedly hinting that new layoffs may not be far behind.
It is a tough thing. The more people that we lose, realistically, we can't do as many things.
Longtime investigative reporter Sean Murphy says a slimmed-down Globe will no longer be all things to all people, but he believes a more focused newspaper can survive.
It depends on what news outlet we become. If we have a smaller group in the newsroom that is doing investigative reporting and political reporting, there's a demand for that.
In the meantime, Murphy says Globe workers will be tightening their belts and hoping for the best.
We don't go out a lot. We watch on nickels and dimes, and I'm cutting coupons and going to the supermarket on Sunday. I'm not complaining.
But Russell says her pay cut couldn't have come at a worse time.
I just had a baby 6 months ago, and so I'm looking at some daycare costs that are going to be ramping up pretty soon, and it's going to be tough.
Tough, and quite possibly much tougher in the future. With me now are Adam Riley of the Boston Phoenix and Manny Paraskos of Emerson College. Welcome to both of you. Adam, of course, the lifetime guarantees are the main component of all of this. It's 1/3 of the main guild membership, 200 people thereabouts. What are you hearing as far as the concessions that they finally gave up?
Well, what I've heard most recently is a pay cut of about 8%, 5-day unpaid furlough, the end of contributions, matching contributions to the 401ks, and a freeze on pensions. 8% is a pretty hefty pay cut.
But it's not, the rest we're hearing is a 23% wage cut.
Well, that was, I took that as the Times company saying basically, all right, if the Guild isn't going to budge on lifetime guarantees, then, we're going to show you just how much it's going to hurt if you're intransigent there. I think it was a very crabby, safety move on the Times company's part to break this impasse and finally get what they really wanted. I think they wanted to get rid of the lifetime guarantees, and they succeeded.
And the union is saying this will come up for a ratification vote in about 30 days. And we're understanding that there's a lot of rancor over there because there's frustration from the younger members who don't have the lifetime guarantees, who felt that they were victimized by the people trying to hold on to their guarantees. So is there a possibility that when this comes up for ratification, it won't be?
I would not expect that to happen. I think that the big frustration on the part of a lot of younger employees and some, to an extent on the part of people in the newsroom rather than elsewhere, was that management, Guild leadership, many, a large portion of whom had the lifetime guarantees, were refusing to give them up. Now that those guarantees have apparently been given up, or that they've accepted some modification on lifetime guarantee language, I think that's what the lion's share of Guild members wanted to see happen. So while there may be some leftover bad blood between different factions in the Guild, I can't see this thing not being ratified when the time comes.
And Manny, there's still the expectation that there are going to be even more layoffs, that this is only sort of the beginning. We're seeing the trend nationwide and what newspapers have gone through. Where do you see this going for the Globe?
Well, it's going to be tough. There's no question about it. It's difficult times, and I think eventually they will have to make more drastic measures. And I think what we saw in the report, will be true. In other words, more tight purses in the months to come, and some people will be laid off, and I think the time has come for them, not only the Globe but also other publishers, to become proactive in trying to find solutions that will involve the internet in a more serious way. So they need to hire internet entrepreneurs with a news eye to be able to sell a terrific product, because this is a terrific product. I hate to see it go.
Well, let me just ask you, the point that Sean Murphy raised is an interesting one. If you start to focus on what you're doing, like the investigative reporting, is something like that going to work? Because I already hear, just anecdotally around town, people complain that they can read the Globe so quickly now, and they're starting to feel cheated already, and we haven't even really gotten to the deep cuts. So Have other papers tried that? Will that work to just do a sort of focused journalism?
Well, they have to try everything. And that is one of them. It may work, it may not work, but they are right to be trying everything. That is one solution. Another solution is, and I think that should be their primary solution, trying to find a way to exploit advertising. And that we haven't found yet. They're not the only ones we haven't. The American media in general, the American print media in general, have not been able to find a way to marry their print experience and the internet. That they have to solve.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, that's fine.
Oh, I was actually just going to say that the problem with advertising is that no one has quite figured out how to make internet advertising pay as well as print advertising does. And everyone knows that's the way the business is headed. But if the Globe were to go online only, they would lose mass quantities of print advertising and would have to cut their staff down. I mean, in Seattle, the Post-Intelligencer went online only and now has about 20 employees. So they're really caught between a rock and a hard place there. I would also say I think Boston.com is actually a pretty good newspaper website and has been steadily getting better. But there are just these deep structural problems which aren't unique to the Globe, and they're going to need to try to figure out solutions. So is everyone else.
Well, in terms of figuring it out, this math isn't adding up to me. I mean, so we're told that they're losing $85 million a year, and I know that there are some people who say that's sort of a fictional-ish number, $85 million. But if they're only making $20 million in concessions, they're still losing $65 million. Are we to believe that this is really the long goodbye for the Globe?
Well, I think there's going to be. I think the layoffs are going to be really, really ugly. I mean, I think we could see staff pared down, a quarter, a third, even a half. And that was the point of getting rid of the lifetime guarantees. I mean, now the Times Company and Globe Management have a great deal of flexibility to just go in and gut the place, which will be very unpleasant, but unfortunately is probably necessary if they're going to put the paper on some sort of, steady footing going forward.
There was a study out of London 2 weeks ago about papers that went online only, and they detected that they're losing more money than they did before. So that's a very difficult problem. So it does not solve the issue.
And Manny, you've studied Boston journalism quite a bit, and the New York Times Company is saying of all their newspaper holdings, all of their properties, the Boston Globe is losing the most. Why is that? Is it demographics here? What changed?
Well, it could be that they had an expensive newsroom. I don't know, but that could be an issue. But it would be unfortunate if something happened to the Globe, because this is where American journalism was started in 1690 by somebody who was a Brit who came here to make a few bucks. He was an entrepreneur. He started a coffee house, and he was printing books, and then eventually he printed a newspaper. And he had a good instinct. They closed him down immediately, of course, the Brits did. But he had good instincts, and he refused to get a license for it. So that's why they closed him down. And it took 14 years after that for the first American paper to come out after him. And that paper did have a license to print. That lasted 70 years, whatever, until the revolution. But it is a place of historic importance to American journalism. So these people, I presume the people of the Times, have a sense of history, and they cannot just view this just as a money thing.
Well, Adam, let me just bring you in to ask that yesterday Robert Gibbs, the White House press secretary, sort of denied that there would be any attempt to do a newspaper bailout. Is that something that should be on the table?
No, I think that would be a terrible idea. I mean, those of us who work at newspapers are supposed to critically cover, people in power, including politicians, and to see politicians coming to our rescue as an industry, I think would create a very uncomfortable situation. Just one more thing, in terms of the $85 million loss, the Globe is pulling in over $300 million a year, from what I understand. They're spending too much, but they're making plenty. So it's not, I think that's an important point to note.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if a new financial structure works. Adam Riley, Manny Paraskos, thank you both for coming. And in a moment, New York has the Tonys, we have the Elliott Norton Awards for theater, and it draws big stars too.